Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, March 20, 2023. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the weather has been like in your area recently. Also, feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. I respond to all comments and I really live for this stuff. Alright, so let's take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can see that we still have the high pressure ridge to the north of the main development region. That's sending a lot of easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. And we can still see that the Western Caribbean is being affected by that cold front, not only there, but portions of Cuba, the Bahamas, and Central America. And if you actually take a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can see those low-level patches of clouds moving from east to west in that easterly trade wind brought about by that high pressure ridge across the main development region into the Caribbean. And we can see a lot of clouds right there across portions of the Bahamas, Cuba, the Cayman Islands, as well as portions of Central America, including Mexico, Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras, associated with that cold front, bringing some amount of overcast skies and rainfall to those areas. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let's focus our attention on the prediction that was made yesterday for today's weather across Jamaica. It was stated in yesterday's video on our YouTube page that we would have received some amount of afternoon rainfall on this Monday afternoon across portions of eastern, central, and western Jamaica, with more of a bias across sections of some northern parishes. And what ended up happening? A post was made on our Twitter page at 3:01 p.m. highlighting some amount of clouds building up across sections of eastern Jamaica, St. Thomas, Portland, portions of St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, and Manchester. So we indeed had some amount of overcast skies and showers across those spots. And we even had confirmation from our commenter, Jomar Park, stating severe rainfall in Borough Bridge, northern Clarendon, near the southern border with St. Anne. Another commenter stating, well, Fairview flood out, and that's in Montego Bay as well. And on our Instagram page, we had T Gemini Doll stating rain in Spot Valley, Montego Bay. Another commenter, Sabrina, stating just start drizzling. King Jamal stating rain in Bluefields, Westmoreland. Essence Boss 876 stating light showers in Falmouth. Valiant Cufflink stating rain in Manchester. Another commenter stating rain in Iron Shore. Chippy Scully stating St. Elizabeth rain. And Michael Collins stating heavy lake overcast in Cavaliers St. Andrew. Even on our Facebook page, we had John Gotti confirming rainfall in St. Bess, light showers in St. Bess. Shawnee Reynolds stating, yeah, it start drizzling. And then another post was made at 5:20 p.m. this evening, highlighting the Doppler radar images showing rainfall across the various areas, eastern, central, and western Jamaica. So we can see those screens that represent moderate rainfall across sections of eastern Jamaica, sections of Kingston, St. Andrew, St. Thomas, Portland, Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth, Trelawney, St. James, and Westmoreland got in on some of that rainfall. And we actually had our commenters on our Instagram page confirming that rainfall. Buchevi stating heavy rainfall in Clarendon. Vanessa stating lots of rain in Bethel Town, Westmoreland. And Evables Almighty stating raining in Bull Bay. So we indeed got some rainfall in those various spots that were stated to have been receiving rainfall today. And if we actually take a look at the visible satellite images before the sun went down, we can see those buildup of clouds in the afternoon hours across those various spots that were stated to have been receiving rainfall. We even have that southwesterly flow of that upper level clouds, just as stated in our previous video, that would have brought some amount of biased rainfall to especially the north coast. And if we actually take a look at the infrared satellite images before the evening hours, we can see that we indeed had some colors in there that's indicative of some amount of cumulonimbus clouds high up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And we even had some sparkling white dots right there across portions of Trelawney, that indicates some amount of lightning flashes as well. So we indeed got some amount of thunderstorms across those spots as well. If we take a look at the latest Doppler radar images, we can still see that we have some amount of lingering showers across those very areas, eastern, central, and western Jamaica, as seen by all of those greens and possible yellows across some areas at this time. If we take a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, we can see that we indeed had some rainfall today across sections of eastern, central, and western Jamaica, as this map is showing all the rainfall that we got for the past 24 hours. Alright, so moving ahead to the temperatures right now, we can see that we have 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 25 degrees Celsius in Kingston, and as the night progresses, the temperatures should be getting lower as usual. Looking at tomorrow's temperature forecast, the Euro and the GFS models are showing consensus that Jamaica won't be embedded in any yellows that mean above normal temperatures, nor any blues that mean below normal temperatures, as seen on the keys. We're in the zeros right there, so we're going to be receiving average temperatures, and when we have consensus on both the Euro and the GFS models, we know that the chances of it actually happening are much higher. But what are the average temperatures for the month of March? About 87 degrees Fahrenheit. And when we look at the thermometer and convert that, that's about the equivalent of 30 degrees Celsius. If we actually take a look at the dry air map, we can see that the yellows represent less dry air, and the reds and the whites represent the highest amount of dry air. We can see the highest dry air right there off the coast of Africa, and we can see Jamaica right now is embedded in some slight yellows but more blues that indicates some amount of moist air across the region. So the air is very moist in and around Jamaica at this time. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast, 2 p.m. on Tuesday, we can still see that Jamaica is in blues that represent little to no Saharan dust. The most Saharan dust is right there off the coast of Africa, as well as on the landmass of Africa, as represented by the browns at 2 p.m. on Tuesday. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, 12 p.m. on Tuesday, on both the Euro and the GFS, show that Jamaica is surrounded by a lot of blues. The blues on the keys represent 1.5 meter wave heights or less, and that's due to the fact that we'll be receiving 10 to 20 knot winds coming in from the east tomorrow on both the Euro and the GFS. But where does all of this air pile up? We can see that both on the Euro and the GFS we have the air piling up, especially across central and western Jamaica. If we take a look, the darkest blue seems to be right there in northwestern St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland right there. So there's a chance that we might have more of the afternoon convection taking place with the buildup of clouds across more inland areas of central Jamaica and some western parishes, mainly southwestern parishes tomorrow. However, we have some amount of disagreement on the wind shear map. The Euro at 1 p.m. on Tuesday is showing more of a west-southwesterly flow of the wind shear, but the GFS is showing more of a westerly wind shear flow across the island. So we shall actually see which one of these actually pan out. We know that when we have more of a southwesterly kind of wind shear, we have more of the consensus of the convection on the north coast. When we have more of a northwesterly or a northerly flow of the wind shear, we have more of the consensus or of the upper level winds favoring the rainfall on the south coast. So we shall see exactly what happens with that tomorrow. Either way, we might receive some amount of rainfall across sections of some central and western parishes. Let us take a look at the precipitation forecast for tomorrow. We can see that by 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 5 a.m. Jamaica time, we can see some blues right there across portion of eastern Jamaica, which represent rainfall. So maybe St. Thomas and Portland might get in on some of that rainfall at 5 a.m. We can see consensus or agreement on the GFS model as well. And we know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Skipping ahead to about 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 2 p.m. Jamaica time, we can see the blues across portions of eastern, central, and western Jamaica, especially central and western Jamaica and the hilly interior areas. We can see some greens, which indicate a lot of rainfall right there, even across portions of Westmoreland during the afternoon. Taking a look at the GFS, we see more of the darkest blues across portions of southwestern Jamaica, so Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester. So we shall see exactly what happens with that. Skipping ahead to about 4 p.m. Jamaica time, we can still see more blues across those various spots. So we might get some afternoon convection even up to the late afternoon to early evening hours. Taking a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast by both the Euro and the GFS, we definitely have some amount of rainfall to receive tomorrow. Both the Euro and the GFS are showing 0.5 of an inch of rainfall, especially across western Jamaica during the afternoon hours. But as we know, the accumulated precipitation shows all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. So it's not all the rainfall at once, it's over the next 24 hours spread out. And considering that we're going to be receiving majority of our rainfall across sections of western Jamaica during the afternoon hours, this is a lot of rainfall to be had across those spots in such a short period of time. So there might be some amount of isolated flash flooding, just like what took place across sections of some northern parishes today. And it's actually a blessing that we've been getting so much rainfall in the month of March across Jamaica, considering that March is one of the driest months of the year, and we usually only receive up to 87 millimeters of rainfall during this time. So we are indeed grateful right now. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let's focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So as stated, we can see some low-level clouds moving across the eastern Caribbean, bringing some amount of isolated showers right there across those spots. So sections of maybe St. Lucia as well as Dominica getting in on some of that rainfall. We can see rainfall across portions of Martinique as well. We can see a lot of clouds right there across portions of the eastern section of Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guyana. We can see a lot of clouds across portions of Honduras, Belize, Guatemala, Mexico, the Cayman Islands, Cuba, and the Bahamas associated with that stalled out cold front. If you take a look at the visible set of the Doppler radar images, you know that Doppler radar images show the actual rainfall, and these Doppler radar images are starting from about 1:15 p.m. today, and we can see that we indeed had some rainfall right there across the northwestern section of Puerto Rico. We can see some rainfall right there coming into sections of Dominica, Martinique, Guadeloupe. We can see a lot of scattered showers right there affecting portions of Antigua, Barbuda, sections of Anguilla. We can see rainfall across sections of St. Martin. Not so much in the way of rainfall across the US and British Virgin Islands though. If we actually take a look at the Barbados radar, we can see some amount of rainfall coming into sections of Barbados as at this time. We can see rainfall to the west of there as well, so sections of St. Vincent, sections of Grenada as well. Not so much rainfall across portions of Tobago or Trinidad right now. Taking a look at the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can see a lot of rainfall right there across portions of Belize, Guatemala, sections of Honduras as well. Moving ahead to the temperature forecast, we can see that we have some below normal temperatures to receive across portions of the southern and eastern Caribbean, and we see consensus on both maps right there. We can also see below normal temperatures right there across portions of the eastern United States, the Gulf of Mexico, sections of Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras, all courtesy of that cold front. The above normal temperatures seem to be right there across portions of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Hispaniola, including Haiti and Dominican Republic, as well as sections of Puerto Rico. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast, we can see some slight browns right there across portions of the southern and eastern Caribbean Sea. Not so much across the Caribbean islands at all. The most dust we see is right there across portions of Guyana, Suriname, and French Guyana right there, especially across the waters to the west of Africa, where we have the darkest browns. So those areas should be receiving some hazy skies by 2 p.m. on Tuesday. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, both the Euro and the GFS show the highest waves to the east of the Caribbean, as well as to the south, the far south of Jamaica, as indicated by those purples and reds that indicate up to 2-meter wave heights or more. And that's due to the fact that those very spots will be receiving the strongest winds coming in from the east. So all of those yellows is where we'll receive up to 25 knot winds. 25 knot winds or more. We can see a lot of that to the far south of Jamaica, to the north of Colombia and Panama. We can see some of that right there off the coast of the border of Texas and Mexico, and we can see a lot of it right there to the east of the Caribbean. Taking a look at the precipitation forecast by both the Euro and the GFS, both maps are showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday, and we can see the consensus in rainfall across portions of Cuba, the Bahamas, those very spots that are being affected by the cold front at this time, the Cayman Islands, Honduras, Nicaragua. Moving farther south, we can see some rainfall right there across portions of Panama, Costa Rica, Colombia, Venezuela, and Guyana right there. We can still receive some amount of rainfall across sections of the eastern Caribbean, but it's not that much. The most that we see is up to 0.3 of an inch of rainfall. Either way, rainfall is still expected across portions of the Windward and Leeward Islands, mainly the northern Windward Islands as well as sections of the Leeward Islands. Maybe even Puerto Rico getting in on some of that rainfall across the eastern section of that island as well. If you actually take a look at the other maps showing the western sections, we can see that even up to 3 or more inches of rainfall expected right there along the border of Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras right there. Lots of rainfall, even up to 1 inch of rainfall in those very spots across Mexico as well. And we see consensus on the GFS model as well. And we know that when we have consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.